Today I'll show you how to make this little indoor gnome garden in a small heart box that's 12 inches wide by 2 inches deep. I cut out a cardboard circle to fit in part of the $3 heart box I got from Target. Gather some twigs and embroidery floss. Wrap the embroidery floss around a stick shaped like a Y. Apply glue along the edges so that it stays in place. I'm using clear tacky glue. I'm only showing you 2, but once I had 3 of these made, I started gluing the sticks around the cardboard circle. I started in the center of my little twig structure with the tallest stick, and then I started tapering down. I placed one of my finished Y sticks on the end, and then I moved over to the other side. On this side, I wanted to show you that I not only add glue to the base, but I also add glue between the sticks. I added 2 Y sticks to this side so that it would look a bit different from the other side. You have a few seconds to work with the hot glue, and then once you're happy with the placement, hold it still for about 10 seconds. Now it's time to make the roof of our structure. I place about 4 sticks going across it one way, and then more bendable sticks going across the other way. You can see the embroidery floss I added to the back between some of the sticks. I use this to hold my twigs going this direction. When these twigs are woven over and under the sticks, it actually makes for a pretty sturdy roof. Here you can see that anchoring the twig through the floss strengthens the structure. I suggest getting way more sticks than you think you'll need because you never know what you're going to end up with. Here you can see I'm adding some more twigs going the other way just to fill in some bare spots. I also had some pretty bendable twigs, so I just started playing around with them to see how much tension they could take. I want this to look like something a garden gnome would make. Maybe she's taken some inspiration from spider webs and things she's collected around the garden. You could loop beads through the floss or anything that adds whimsy to your garden decor. There's no right or wrong answer. Once I get it anchored in on both sides, it's feeling pretty stable and I'm liking the roundness that is giving me. I check to see how stable the roof is feeling every time I add a stick. If there's too much movement, I weave another twig on top of it to hold it in place. Every time I do this, it's feeling more and more structurally sound. But I don't want to leave its structure to chance, so I add a few drops of wood glue to the roof when I'm finished. Once I'm happy with the look of it, I cut off all of the overhang. And I really should have used handheld pruning shears for this part, but I think I left mine out in the rain one day and they rusted, so I'm just going to destroy these scissors and flick twigs all over my kitchen. But this part is really satisfying because you can see the look coming together. It's really looking like a little garden gnome created this whimsical structure. Now I'm going to line the box with some plastic so that the wood doesn't get wet. Once the twig structure is in place, I figure out where my plants will fit. These small potted succulents will last a long time with very little maintenance. I like to keep the taller ones towards the back. Then I fill it with potting soil. But you don't have to, you could fill it with rocks or vase filler. Don't forget to go all around the edges. I'm using a tiny shovel. You could use a spoon. I make a real nice mess here. Then I add my little pots. Some pink aquarium rocks give this pot a finished look. And then I'll add a little moss around the edges. I think moss adds a real Gnome feel to your planter. I don't know if you could add too much moss. Finish tucking in the moss in all the little gaps. It's a little shadowy under the twig structure, so I try to lighten it up with some white rocks. And I'm going to try to scatter these rocks with just the most awkward hand. This garden is really small, and I feel like it looks bigger than it is when you see it recorded. Here I'm using my right hand, and that's working a little better. You can find different kinds of vase filler at craft stores like Hobby Lobby, Michael's, and Joann's. Now I'm adding crushed glass vase filler in the center of the garden. This is less bumpy than the white rocks, so it's easier to place my gnomes on it. I'm using a spoon to get it in all of the nooks and crannies. I have some blue beach glass that matches the pastel colors on my llama, so I'm adding a few on the side. I'm adding some more white rocks on this side, and now it's time to get the stepping stones my gnome and llama will stand on. You could make a base for your gnomes, but I picked these fairy garden pavers up at a craft store last year, and anything flat will do. This tiny miniature tree stump is the perfect table for a few miniature treats. And these treats can be found in the dollhouse aisle of Hobby Lobby. I had a few glittery pink hearts too, so I'm scattering them around the edges. The nice thing about a heart box is it doesn't just have to be for Valentine's Day. It could be for a birthday or just because. And now your indoor heart box gnome llama garden is done. I always like to give it a little spin to see if anything's missing while I have all my supplies out. I actually went in later and added some moss in between the gaps of the sticks. Moss is a great way to hide any imperfections or accidents you notice later. And I don't know if this is a word, but it will definitely look more gnomey. And now our pink gnome and llama finally get to enjoy their new garden. As they munch down on cupcakes and chocolate cake, they'd like me to remind you to comment, like, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. It really helps us out. Thank you. Bye.